Looking for the next India. However, it seems that the directions everyone is looking for are all confined to technological encouragement. In fact, in that seemingly dull and unglamorous field of physical infrastructure, a giant has already emerged. Welcome to Fake GPT. Suddenly, the main character we were talking about is named Chemical, with the codename CCJ. The reason why I call it the nuclear energy sector is not because I'm to attract attention, but because it is currently going through a similar identity transformation and market exit process as Nvidia did back then. Now, people still regard it as a minor, but in the eyes of experts, he has already become a dominant player in the infrastructure sector, possessing 4 technologies. Let's first address the well-known topic of the shortcomings of AI, since everyone is already familiar with it. Today, I want to take everyone to see something even more terrifying, which is the black hole on the supply side. Goldman Sachs recently released a report on nuclear energy mining, which mentioned a figure stating that by 2025, the global supply gap for nuclear energy will reach 32%. Oh, what does this mean? This means that even without any, the current oil supply is insufficient. There is a rather absurd detail in this. The world's largest oil producer, the Kazakhstan Atomic Energy Corporation, has recently had to reduce production due to a shortage of sulfuric acid. You heard it right, it's sulfuric acid, because they use the in situ method. Work without sulfuric acid. This is just like Saudi Arabia suddenly saying that it will stop oil production because it has no oil pipes. This is Chemical, the moat nowadays. He holds the topmost mines in Canada in his hands. That is the most refined oil field in the world. It's not funny at all. Complex chemical in and out is the genuine high-grade ore. And the power plants in Western countries are all operational now. The moment I saw it, I knew it was about decoupling from the supply chains of Russia and Kazakhstan. This huge unoccupied market can only be seized by chemical company. But if it were just that my family had a mine, I wouldn't have held it in such high regard. What makes Chemical truly outstanding is that he transformed himself into an all-round player. In 2023, he joined forces with Brookfield to revitalize Westinghouse Electric. This play has gone too far. Sell only flour. Now he even sells the machines used for making bread, and even takes care of the decoration and maintenance of the bakery. Electricians provide service for half of the reactors worldwide, and even the maintenance of bakery renovations is included. Apart from the kind of super catalyst that we absolutely need to discuss, which is the $80 billion strategic cooperation, in October 2025, the US government stepped in directly, pulling Brookfield and Cantel along, he said. We're going to spend $80 billion to specifically deploy the AP, Advanced Power Plant, of Westinghouse Electric Corporation, with a total of 1,000 reactors. Reactor. Let's think about it. What were people most afraid of when building nuclear power plants in the past? Worried about slow approval and the risk of a broken capital chain. Now the government says, money? I'll figure out a way to approve it. I'll speed up. This is equivalent to directly erasing the greatest choice. This is not just about money. This is hitching the chemical industry to the national war wagon. He transformed from coal mining stock into a national treasure. State-backed utility stocks. I know many seasoned investors would look at that price-earnings ratio and say, oh dear, CCJ. The current price-earnings ratio is quite high. Is it too expensive? This is actually a financial trap. What you are seeing now is the profit from those old contracts he signed several years ago that were worth $40 each. What is the current spot price? It's almost $90. He said that the smart thing about Hanko was that his contract had a cap mechanism in place, and this cap has now been raised to $130. This means that as employees expire and new contracts take effect, his profits will experience a sudden and significant increase in a stepwise manner. Analysts predict that his earnings will double next year. So it seems expensive now. In fact, according to next year's budget, it's over 60 times. For a company that monopolizes the core energy technology globally, is this valuation too high? I don't think so at all. Risk. For instance, Westinghouse Electric. There was a black history of project delays in the past. It remains to be seen whether this can be delivered on time. But overall, the current challenge for is, with his left hand holding onto scarce strategic resources and his right hand grasping the core technology, he is also yelling server. In recent years, with the development of technology, especially the increasing demands for artificial intelligence hazards, big data processing and high-performance computing, data centers are facing higher computing demands and more challenging issues related to heat management. The traditional air technology has been unable to meet the heat dissipation requirements of high-end computers in some cases, and the Yelang server, as an innovative cooling solution, emerged as a result. It's cold at night. This is a type of server that uses liquid as the main medium for heat dissipation. It can achieve a more efficient heat conduction than air cooling, thereby better addressing the heat generated by high-power density servers. The issue of heat generated. This not only helps to improve the energy efficiency of the data center and reduce energy consumption, but also enables the operation of more powerful computing devices. This is very important for application scenarios that require a large amount of computing resources. For example, deep learning, science, simulation, etc. So, what is the working principle of liquid-cooled servers? It mainly relies on the high heat capacity and efficient heat conduction properties of liquids. Transfer heat from the heating components to the required working environment either directly or indirectly. Here it is further divided into direct foundation. There are two forms: direct carrier coldness and indirect carrier coldness. So, what is direct contact with a carrier? Here, it is further divided into two forms: the direct basic form and the final form. Using special non-conductive cooling fluids, such as mineral oil fluids, will come into contact with the heat-generating components inside the server, such as the CPU and GPU. When the coolant flows through these components, it absorbs the heat generated by the electronic components. This ensures that the original component remains at a lower operating temperature. The coolant that absorbs heat is then pumped to the outside, where it exchanges heat with the environment through the heat exchanger. Release the heat, and then the cooled liquid returns to the server again, continuing the cycle. In simple terms, it's like when we drink a cup of hot water. Because it's too hot, we need to keep stirring it. Stirring the fire, blowing air to initiate this stacking process is the process of heat exchange. As for when feeling lonely, the entire server, or even all the computing data center, would be placed in a container filled with special cooling fluid. Heat is transferred through natural convection or by forced flow provided by a pump. Heat is transferred from the heating element to the surrounding coolant without the need for a fan to drive air circulation. In simple terms, it means placing the server in cold water. Of course, this water is not the traditional kind of water we are accustomed to. Instead, it is a non-conductive and non-corrosive coolant. What shall we talk about next? It has become an indirect basic industry. The mainstream approach is the cold plate type. The cold plate is a crucial heat-generating component inside the server. Beside it, Android has a dedicated cold plate heat dissipation component to generate heat. First, it is conducted to the cold plate, and then the coolant in the cold plate takes away the heat. This design is similar to the principle of direct hormones, but due to the presence of the cold plate, it is not a true continuous contact. In simple terms, it's just like the mat we lay on our beds in summer. It's cold now, too. The server-related industry is mainly cold at night. The server manufactures and provides chips, cooling devices, thermal conductive materials, liquid cooling solutions, and production. For instance, the Party of Inspur, Tsinghua Unigroup, SCTE. What truly determines its development is the continuous increase in the computing power requirements of the market in areas such as cloud computing, big data, and artificial intelligence, which determines the size of the future market space and its development direction. Xiaolong Chu Trial.